Welcome back, you guys. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions CV, and welcome to another player ratings video after that disappointing 1-0 defeat against West Ham in today's London derby. Before I get into things though, quick plugs out the way. Today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. Download the app, interact with the app. It's a very useful, convenient app to have. You guys, you'll find it below in the description, and of course, massive 25% off Black Friday sale on the Club Mega Store right now, you guys. If you've been planning on getting some items for yourself, or you just want to see how it fits, how it feels, or you want to buy it for a special someone, in the description below, you'll find links below. Now, you guys, let's get straight into things, starting with Kepa in goal. And I have to say, Kepa made some outstanding, unbelievable saves today. And this is why I keep saying, let's be patient with the guy. Let's give him some time. He has these moments of brilliance in him. As I said before, it's about consistency. I think with time, with patience, when he hones his skills even more, he'll become an even better keeper. Listen, Kepa does make mistakes. He's not the most consistent, perfect keeper, but he does know how to do something completely remarkable, completely world-class. That save in the first half, and then for the second save from the set piece, today, Kepa is going to score a 7.5 out of 10. We move on to Reece James at right back. And I love watching this guy play. He's so refreshing to see. I love the feeling of confidence I get from watching him perform, from watching him play. His deliveries in the box. Some outstanding balls today. You're hoping that Pulisic or Giroud or other players would have done better from those situations. I felt like at times in the second half as well, if he had a right winger who had the ability to cut inside with his left foot, I think that you'd see an even better Reece James, because he'd have even more space to go 1v1 against this man. But I'm looking at this guy, looking at how he plays, how he's composed, and that's how confident he is. Very impressive performance again. Today, Reece is going to score a 7.5 out of 10. Moving on to Tomori, and Tomori today was decent. He was okay. I think our defense wasn't tested as much today. At times, some of his passing out from the back was efficient. At times, sometimes one or two were a bit sloppy, but with Tomori, I think him and Zuma look quite good together. I think they have the best partnership so far right now. They understand each other's game, and you know, Tomori is only 21 years old. He is only going to get better. But today, Tomori is going to score a 6.5 out of 10. And moving on to Kurt Zouma, his defensive partner. As I keep saying, you know, for me, Kurt is our best defender. He looks so composed. I always feel confident that he's going to win every single aerial ball, win most of his tackles against his man as well. Today, he played some nice passes out from the back. I thought his covering was very good. And this is one thing with Kurt Zouma. Most times when we have conceded a goal, there's always a reason why Kurt Zouma is the last man in every single situation. And I think at the start of the season, when people noticed that, they assumed that because he was the last man, it was his fault because he could have prevented it, which isn't the case. It just means that Zouma's positioning and reading the game is on point, and that he's always in the right areas to cover danger. Today, it wasn't really his fault for too much. I'd probably say, you know, come on Zouma, you're amazing in the air. How are you not accurate enough from attacking set pieces? You know, too often he's not utilizing his leap enough, and he needs to improve in that area, because he's really costing us important goals. A player of his ability should be scoring. So for today's game, Zouma is going to score a 7 out of 10. Now, moving on to Emerson at left back, and, you know, I was happy to see him back in the team. You know, with Emerson at times, you know, some of his use of the ball in the final third, it's been a bit puzzling because, I don't know, on one hand, I'm thinking with some of the space he has, he should be putting in a lot more dangerous balls in the box. But on the other hand, Emerson's probably thinking, well, who's really going to do anything from these crosses? And maybe he's not feeling too confident that his service is going to get utilised. I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to understand things from a different perspective. But regardless, though, you know, I think Emerson can improve a lot more in the final third. And with time, I think he will. I like the fact that I feel confident with his defending, his build-up play from the back. And I think those two things are very important. And it paints a nice package when it comes to Emerson. So for that reason, Emerson is going to score a 6.5 out of 10. We move on to the midfield and we start with Georgina. And you know what? Recently, Georgina has been looking a bit tepid in that sense. I feel like because of how we play, because it's, you know, this system focuses on a lot of speeds and, you know, attacking transitions. I think at times Georgina should be a bit more ambitious. It feels like he only plays the forward pass maybe once every 5 minutes, etc., etc. I think he has the opportunity to play these passes even more. So it wasn't surprising to me that Lampard replaced him with Kante. Maybe Georgina needs a bit of time because this guy's been playing so many games. He must be a bit tired at this point. Again, though, another standard performance, nothing amazing. For that reason, Georgina was going to score a 6 out of 10. We move on to Kovacic playing in midfield, and for me, the guy is unplayable. I've been saying it consistently. He's one of the best midfield players in the league right now. I just feel this team wouldn't be the same without him. Let's keep it real. This team would not be the same without Kova. His ability to drive in the spaces, create space, play out from the back, beat the opposition press. And honestly, there's so many tactical merits of the player. Another good performance today. I thought he was better than Georgina. He tried to make things happen. He was testing the goal. And I like that Kova is starting to try and find that confidence in his shooting, because I think that is how he's going to improve as a player. For that reason, Kova is going to score a 7 out of 10. We move on to Mason Mount. And I personally sympathise with the player a bit. He missed his partner in Tammy Abraham. The partnership these guys have is quite telepathic. Apologies, you guys. It's telepathic at times. They understand who's going to be where, at what time, etc., etc. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Mason was a bit tired. But I feel like we're not really utilising or getting the best out of our 10. It's interesting. It is. I feel like Mason, there's a lot we're not seeing from the player right now. And I think it's just been because of misfortune. I think he needs the right combinations around him, the right styles of players. When Mason was looking good this season, that was when he was consistently playing with Pulisic down the left-hand side. I just think that if we see that happen a lot more consistently with guys like Tammy and other players in the team, then I think that Mason's going to find even new form. So for that reason, Mason is going to score a standard 6 out of 10. Now we move on to Christian Pulisic playing on the left. And is this guy looking like Hazard every single game now? His use of the ball, the skill, it feels like I'm seeing an even more confident Pulisic. He's attempting even more audacious things. He's looking very inventive, and he's starting to become a player that you're starting to look towards to make something happen. And that's such a massive transformation for the player, but credit to him. He worked hard. He improved on things. I mean, Pulisic's ability off the ball now is way better than it was at the start of this season. Pulisic has that source, and now he has that steal in his game, and that's great for the player. He's only going to improve in that regards. Today, unlucky with some of the efforts on goal, but he was making something happen every single time. Pulisic's going to score a 7.5 out of 10. Moving on to Pedro playing on the right, and I was a bit surprised to see him, but I understand it. Maybe Lampard thinks that Willian's a bit tired. Hudson-Odoi is not fully fit just yet, and Lampard is going to do what's best for the team. So if that means using a player that's not in his plans, he's going to do that. Was Pedro impressive? Very mediocre, very passive in my opinion. Didn't really do too much that I can remember, to be honest. Listen, it's very realistic that Pedro will be leaving this January. I don't think it's going to be a surprise at all. Again, I just think that he's not as good as he used to be. That's my personal opinion. Didn't really test Cresswell, wasn't really creating as much space. Very mediocre. Pedro is going to score a 5.5 out of 10. And to end things with the first team, we move on to Olivier Giroud, and I have to say, Giroud was very uninspiring today. I can't blame him because he doesn't suit the system. He is a target man. This system requires a striker that's going to make runs in behind, constantly dragging the opposition team's defensive line. He needs to do those things. He needs to create space for others to run into. And that was one thing that Giroud didn't do. Giroud is a striker that likes to come deeper towards the ball and have people making runs off that. When he's at the focal point and he's just stationary in those positions, it becomes very easy for defenders to mark him out of the game. And, for that reason, he wasn't too impressive. And on top of that, his finishing with the opportunities he did get wasn't good enough. Giroud is going to score a 5 out of 10. Now, to end things quickly with the subs, guys, we start with Callum Hudson-Odoi. He came on to replace Olivier Giroud. I thought with Hudson-Odoi, it wasn't getting the ball as much. For some reason in the second half, especially when he came on as a sub, it was like we were focusing our passes down the right-hand side. West Ham did well to stop us getting the ball down the left, and it meant that Hudson wasn't on the board as much. Now, of course, he was trying to move more in field to become a passing option to get into the game, but he wasn't able to get into the game as much. But however, some of his touches, his skill, he was trying to make things happen. Hopefully that's the start of his confidence coming back. Hudson-Odoi is going to score a standard 6 out of 10. We move on to N'Golo Kante, and I like that Kante was providing some forward impetus. You know, he was a midfield player, constantly looking to play, those aggressive direct balls to the middle, trying to play on the front foot, and that's what we were missing. Too many passes sideways and backwards. We needed some passes going forwards, passes between the lines, passes with backspin, all that type of stuff. And Kante was trying to provide that. Now, I felt the reason why some of these guys really weren't as good as they could be was because for some reason our game was very narrow and congested in the second half, and it just felt like a lot of players were just cancelling each other out. Regardless, Kante brought on some energy. He's going to score a 6.5 out of 10. And to end things with all the subs, you guys, we move on to the final one. That's Willian, and I thought that Willian was obviously much better than Pedro. I sympathise with the player a bit. If he had a left foot, I feel like his career at this club would have been completely different, you guys. Willian just doesn't have the ability to make things happen with the spaces on the right hand side. It's because he doesn't have that left foot. He can't create those angles to create passes with or run with the ball. And, when teams are able to just stifle us and stop us switching the ball from left to right, it becomes very flat down that side. And even though he put in effort, he tried, there wasn't as much he could do. But regardless, the application was there. It was on point. Willian is going to score a 6.5 out of 10. And to end things quickly with Frank Lampard, what score is Lampard going to receive? I'm going to give Lampard a 6 out of 10. Now, I think the lineup again, I understand why he started Giroud, but with a team where you're using guys like your Masons, your Pulisics, your Pedros, you need that forward that's going to allow these guys to be making runs ahead, create space for these guys to make runs into, and it wasn't there today. And I feel like Frank again just maybe didn't get their lineup as good, but again, of course, Lampard's considering the fact that not all the players are fully fit. He's forced to have to use certain players because they're the only options available to him. And it's not going to be surprised that in January we will sign players if this ban is overturned, and we can do that. Don't be surprised to see that happen. And I think once that happens, we might see even more impetus back in the team. But as I said, he will get a 6 out of 10. And on that note, you guys, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you guys in a bit.